built an altar there at that place in Bethel, and every time that he saw it, he remembered. It was a reminder to him of the time he wrestled with God and refused to let go until he got his blessing. In the New Testament, Peter is called the rock. Jesus says, you're going to be my rock that I'm going to build the church on. It's this idea that the church is built on the memories of all the things that God has done with this intent of moving forward into all that he has for us in the future. And in Joshua, they cross over the Jordan River and getting ready for the walls of Jericho. And as they experience this miraculous, water parting there in the Jordan River to be able to walk across, he gives them this instructions. He says, each of you heft a stone to your shoulder, a stone for each of the tribes of the people of Israel, so you'll have something later to mark the occasion. And when your children ask you, what are these stones to you, you'll be able to tell them. You'll be able to go through the story. You'll be able to, even if you've kind of forgotten it and it's not top of mind for yourself, you will be able to bring it back to memory to tell your children about all that God did to be where we are today. Because a lot of times it's easy, right? We always think about how our kids don't remember the, walking uphill both ways we had to go through for school, right? All the hard life that we had. We didn't have cell phones to be able to ask Siri what the quadratic formula was. We had it so rough, right? Every generation's got it so rough. And the parents are always like, you have no idea. And these stones are designed to help us to remember. One, to tell our children. But then he also says, a few verses later, he says, this was so that everybody on earth would recognize how strong God's rescuing hand is, and so that you would hold God in solemn reverence always. He says, not only just to tell your children, but this monument, these rocks that you are going to build, are also going to be a testament to the world around you, to the Eastwood around you, to the Syracusians around you, of what God has done. And we have an opportunity as we next week launch into this new permanent space, and right across the street from Love Handles and all these things that God is doing and going to be opening doors for us to walk through over the next few weeks. It's not for us, but it's for us to build these altars where we're going to tell our children, and for all of Eastwood and whoever wants to hear the story is going to see about what God has done. So if you have a story this morning that you'd like to share about your time here in the palace, if by the end you're welcome to take as many stones as you want before you leave for that. But the first person who just couldn't help but say, I have something to share, was our very own sound man, Adam. He has a story that he'd like to share about his life and what Forward Point has done for him here at the theater. So if you wouldn't mind, just as we welcome him and thank him for all the time that he's given us here over the years, I'm going to invite him to come up and share his Palace and Forward Point story.
Thanks, Jimmy. Good morning, everybody. My name's Adam Ost. You guys probably know me as the sound guy, drummer for the band, manager of the Palace or whatever. It's bittersweet. I've been here about 5 years now, I think. I just wanted to share with you guys my path and how I ended up coming here, because it's important to me. I grew up Christian, actually. I was raised in a Mormon church. It was kind of strict. It was a little bit different than how we do things here. And somewhere in my teens, like most teens, I drifted. I didn't believe in everything. And with that church especially, they need you to believe in everything. And if you don't, then they question you. And they also want you to go on a mission for 2 years when you turn 19 years old. I didn't want to do that. I was very into music. I was very into my friends, rock and roll, drugs. So yeah, I drifted for a long time. In my late 20s, I got interested again in trying to determine if I had any relationship with God, or if there was a religion for me. I started with Mormonism because that's what I grew up in, and I figured that would be a good place to start, and quickly determined that wasn't for me. Once again, they need you to believe 100% in everything that they say happened, and I can't do that. So I had to part ways with that church, but I developed a newer appreciation, understanding, and relationship with Jesus. I became very intrigued, started watching a lot of different film adaptations of the life of Jesus, reading the New Testament. But a belief in God or Jesus doesn't necessarily mean that you have found a place to worship or a place for yourself. About 10 years ago, I think it's 2018, for the entire year practically, I was in jail. I thought I had found my path multiple times in life. I'm sure we all have. You know, you think that you figured stuff out. You're like, I've got everything together, and I know what I'm doing. What I had figured out was that the way to make money was to sell weed, and I was really good at it. I sold tons of weed, pounds. Money was coming in left and right. And I'm like, this is it for me. I can spend all of my free time playing music, going for nature walks, hanging out with friends, doing the things that I want to do. And I've got income, steady income. The only problem is back then, it was still 100% completely illegal. And eventually I got busted. And I got busted again, and I got busted again. I went in and out of the Justice Center so many times, my head was spinning. And eventually my lawyer couldn't do anything more for me. He was like, you know, they've given you so many chances and you keep blowing it. So you have to go to prison. They gave me a 2-year bid and I had to prepare myself for that. But luckily at the time, there was a program called Willard. It's like a drug treatment center, but they treat it like a boot camp, military style boot camp. 100 days. If you do it, if you sign up for it, if you qualify, that means that your offenses have to be drug related. Then that counts as your entire prison term. 100 days versus 2 years. So I signed up for it, of course, did extremely well. I kind of liked it. But yeah, I got myself more or less cleaned up, realized that I couldn't mess around with that kind of stuff anymore. Once I got out and off parole and all that, I didn't know what to do with my life. I was pretty lost. I didn't know what to do for money. I was just working at Alto Cinco, not happy there, but it was a real job, steady income, legal. That was the main thing. Dave Kane, he was an old friend of mine from back in the music days of the 90s or whatever. I hadn't heard from him in years. Called me up one day and did his Dave Kane thing. Just hi. You know, eventually got to the point, which was he needed help here, and he's like, you know how to do that kind of stuff, right? You know how to do sound. I'm like, sure. So he brought me on board. He brought me into the Palace, showed me the ropes here. I started working gigs with him. And Forward Point was just one of those gigs. And it was a gig that he did not want to do. He didn't like it very much. So he eventually wanted to pawn it off on me, but it was with this idea that this is not something you want to do. This is not fun. You know, that's how he would, you don't want to wake up every Sunday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning and do church, do you? No. Why would you want to do that? No, of course not. You know, but eventually he pawned it off on me. My attitude coming into Forward Point was not a good one. It was with the idea that this was a pain in the butt and you have to deal with it. And I feel like the Palace in general, the staff, that was their attitude. They're just like, you know, like, sorry you have to deal with that. And in the early days, for those of you that were around, I do apologize because I don't think I had a very good attitude. And I also got paid for being here. Probably the only person on the production crew that would get paid. But gradually, something happened. Coming here week after week, seeing all the same faces, the first thing I noticed was that it's a beautiful congregation. I mean, most of the people I can look out and see right now are just beautiful faces. And that's probably because I've come to know most of you over the years, and you've become friends, you've become family. God put Forward Point immediately, directly in my path, and there was no way that I could avoid it. He knew what I needed in my life, and he knew that I would not make time for church. I'm kind of a workaholic. I like to work. And if there's a gig, I'll take that over any personal thing. So he made it so that it was unavoidable for me. He's like, I'm going to put church at your job, so you have to go to it, you know. Amazing to me because it worked. After a year or so, I found myself singing the songs along with everybody else, standing up, putting my hands up periodically, and I'm like, I found a home somehow with you guys, and I didn't think that would ever happen. I didn't think that church was something that I was ever going to gravitate towards again. I want to thank you guys. I want to thank Stephen and Jimmy for being here, for making this unavoidable for me. For the record, I don't get paid anymore. I mean, years ago, once I realized that I was part of this family and part of this crew, I also realized that the work that I have to do to make this happen, which is every Saturday night, by the way, for the past 5 years. I don't think I've missed a single one. I'm the guy that comes in here at 3 in the morning, sets all this up, makes sure that it works. Thanks. I can't believe I don't have to do that anymore. It's crazy. It's going to take a while to get used to that idea. But something that really obviously bothered Dave when he had to do it, I realized that that's just part of my sacrifice, I guess. You know, like, this is what God's asking of me. He gave me so much. He got me out of jail, you know, like he busted my chains for me. He gave me freedom again, and then he just kept giving me more. The blessings that have been bestowed upon me in the past few years are astronomical. I'm hugely successful at what I do. I can work all over Syracuse. People want me to work for them. They want to pay me money to mix. You know, this is stuff I would do for free. Don't tell anybody, but, you know, it's hard to keep me away from a soundboard, really, you know, so people just hand me money and they're like, yeah, do this, please. We want you to do it. And the gigs just keep on coming. I have so much work that I can't handle all of it most of the time, and I'm exhausted, but that's not a bad thing. Again, these are blessings. So I know that this was meant to be for me. I know that this was a family that I was meant to find. My mother's still very active in the Mormon Church, and I talk to her on a regular basis, and I think she always hoped that that was where I would go back to, because that's her place, that's her belief. But I've explained this to her, you know, weekly. This is the place for me. And the fact that I get to incorporate music into the way that I worship, it just couldn't be more perfect. So again, I'm sad that we're leaving. I know it's better for us, for the church. It's going to be a smaller, tighter space. We're probably going to have a lot more energy together. The feeling of love and connection and family is probably going to be better. And I know it's just necessary. We have to do it. We had to do it. But I'm sad to see us leave here, too. We kind of made it perfect over the years. I mean, this is an amazing service that we put on every single week. And I look forward to it. And I leave here singing all these songs in my head all day long. You guys are beautiful. Thank you for letting me be part of your family. Thank you for accepting me, for not ever judging me, for not ever telling me how I had to believe and how I had to worship specifically. The fact that I was here and that I believe in God and Jesus was enough for you guys. I can't thank you enough.
There's probably a short list of people who now have a shorter commute to Forward Point as a result of the move, and Adam is right up there on the list there, along with the Wises. I know you guys we have a longer commute. I tell you, it's going to be hard to go on that extra block. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share about Sonia? Come on up.
You can't keep the mic away from me, sorry. So like most of us, I grew up in church, but I grew in this church. I've been here for 4 years, and when I first came in, I quickly became somebody's shadow who is no longer here. I learned what she did, how she served, and wanted to be part of that. I started in February. In April, I came for Easter service, and I remember seeing the prayer huddle for the first time. And I wanted to be part of that inner circle. That was the inner circle. That is where I needed to be. So I quickly learned how to serve, came early, did all of the things. I met so many wonderful people. I had my first act of obedience here, serious act of obedience with God, and it changed my life forever, helped me grow deeper in relationships. I remember not wanting to leave my little corner of the popcorn station. That was where I was comfortable. That is where I wanted to stay. I sat in leadership meetings saying, I'm not moving. You can't make me move. But here I am 4 years later, and now I don't know why, but Jimmy still entrusts me to run Love Handles. And more times than not, I still don't feel qualified 3 years later. But here we are. I still continue to grow. I met my mother-in-law here. That would lead me to my husband. Yes, I picked her first. But I have been allowed to grow this incredible room of people. Some of us have left since I started 4 years ago. More of us are coming. And this morning I am sad because it's changed. And we've done a lot in this space. We've, just in the 4 years I've been here, we have changed lives here in Syracuse, in Eastwood. I'm so excited to see the next steps. But I just thank our leaders, Stephen and Jimmy, Katrina, Chazlet, for giving us all space to grow, for loving us unconditionally, and being imperfect people in a perfect space. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anybody else? Yo. The OG, does the OG want to come down, or you want me to come back there? She's coming down? So Tina, as she makes her way down here, Tina is the only person who's been here longer than everyone else. Tina was a part of Forward Point, many of the original spots, yeah, back in the day. And it's been a joy to... Just watch out. Or maybe over here, in between the cords. No, I'm just saying, yeah, wheel you up there. There we go. Come on. Just make sure we stop before the edge.
Yeah, I've never fallen off the stage. I'm not planning on starting on the last day. Okay, my Forward Point story starts way before anybody who was here. It started with Katrina's dad. And it started with a lost person who was addicted to painkillers, wandering Mattydale and seeing this little church and never seeing anyone in it. So I showed up. I was shown so much love, I never left. I'm sure that there are times that Steve, Jimmy, Katrina would like to kick me out of my ear, get rid of me because, it's probably embarrassing to hear that there's a church member who's been here longer than the pastors. But this place has shown me so much love. I went through one of the worst times in my life right here in the palace. I lost my husband. It was 10 years ago. And I was never shown so much love. I was shown that it didn't, that I felt so alone and like nothing was ever going to be right again. But this little church in the big theater came around me and they held me up until I could stand up myself again. They celebrated me being able to walk again a little bit, and then I got hurt again, and now we don't do that anymore. But celebrated And even the things that were down, celebrated changes. A person who is no longer with us, Papa Bill. Papa Bill, I met because of Forward Point, and Papa Bill helped oversee us, and Papa Bill changed my life. Papa Bill just kept instilling in me that there was purpose, that there was reason, that there was something when I didn't feel that I had any value. And I kind of have a really good surprise to share today. People who know me know I've been working really, 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 really super hard on making some great changes in my life. And I have now been hired as of June 13th to be the coordinator of self-advocacy activities from Lake Placid, New York to the Pennsylvania border. And somebody is actually going to pay this lady more than pennies for what she's worth. And I know that a lot of people I talked to here prayed, because I really, 10 years ago, my husband was my purpose. And everybody here just gathered around. And I mean, there's crazy things. I'm going to tell you a crazy story. This story happened when we first moved into the palace. And the night before, there had been the Chippendales performed on said stage. And Sherry Walker, who is Katrina's mom, was here, and there was a lady named Jackie here. And we came into the palace, and we're like, something is not right here today. So we decided we were going to do a little prayer march. We walked all through here, all through the theater. We went out the back. We went around the building. We prayed for like 45 minutes around this building, came back in and said, well, whatever the Chippendales left behind, we kicked it out. Because it did. It felt, I don't know if other people, I have this tendency to feel like things that are in the room. And sometimes I can feel people's negative spirits and negative things. So we made a habit after that of coming up here and praying for the service and going all around and making sure we scared all of the things that God didn't want here away. And we made that our habit. That was our prayer team at the time. We didn't have prayer people, in the back and all around here. But we prayed for the building. We prayed for the building before we prayed for the people. And I think that even today, even if I come in here and it's not church, I'm here for something else, I feel that refreshed spirit. Like, not only has the palace left a mark on us, we have left a mark on the palace. I think that when we stop having service here, God is still going to be here. And that's one of the things Forward Point has taught me as a person who I believed that there was a God, but I didn't believe in anybody's organized way of doing it. And I knew that I always had to do good, and I always did my best to do good. But I think everywhere we go, we leave little pieces of good. And we're going to leave a big chunk of good here. And there's, everywhere we go, and this new place is going to be an amazing place where we can do good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that is amazing.
Yeah, she's not wrong. We did try to get rid of her a couple times. I think we dropped her down Stevens stairs at her house multiple times, and she keeps on ticking. Anybody else? All right, we'll let Mike make his way up here, and I'll have Deb come up and share while Mike's making his way up here.
My name's Deb. I started at Forward Point 4 or 5 years ago when they did the movies. Now, I was in a very dark place. I didn't want God in my life because God was the reason I was hurting and dark. And I grew up like Adam in a Christian church and Christian home. And it started with the free movies. I'd bring my grandson to a couple of the free movies, and he really enjoyed it. And then it started with, a few years later, it was the food trucks. And we met this guy, Jimmy, at one of the food trucks. And the love and acceptance that I have felt, no matter what I'm going through, I've always had you guys behind me. And through the years, my circle has become so tight that if I'm having a bad day, I can call Sonia or Cherry, and they will build me up, and it's okay. And I'm sad to leave this big place, but I'm so excited for the smaller space so we can all feel what it's like to be loved by a family. And that's what Forward Point has been.
Thanks, Deb. All right, come on over, Mad Mike.
I got a funny story.
Uh-oh, funny. You have the beeper ready?
Yeah, I got a funny story. When I was on vacation, I had a pair of sneakers stolen from my house, and Carol went bonkers and chased the person away, which is classic. And Joe got scared of her. And I knew Jimmy from the old cafe because he used to go in there all the time. And that's how I got in here.
Thanks, Mike. Carol did such a good job chasing people away. We put her in charge of the welcome team. So keep your hands off of other people's packages, ladies and gentlemen.
So what Mike didn't tell you is the reason why he is here is because he came down to pick up his package and we got to talking. And we told him we went to Forward Point. And guess what? Did you show up the next week? Yeah. And he hasn't left. I remember Joe and I, it was during COVID, we were attending another church. And it just, you know how COVID changed a lot of things in our life, some for the good, some for the bad, but I always look at that time as the best for us, just because, number one, it brought us here, and I don't think I've ever felt as welcome and loved by people at a church. So I knew I was going to cry, but I was going to come up anyway. Just because I want everyone to know how a community can make you feel and loved. And this is what we strive to make everyone feel when they come in to Forward Point. And that's why everyone works so hard to make it that welcoming space. So I encourage you, this is just a little plug, you know, if you are not plugged in to a place, there is going to be so much more opportunity to come over there. I feel this palace has been the greatest place because it's been a place we can all come, but it's so big that as a small congregation, we've kind of gotten lost. We kind of hide. We can hide in that corner. We can hide over there. I'm just so encouraged with that closeness that we can be such a close-knit community now, that we can start loving on each other and just spread that love right outside the doors. So that's my story.
Thank you, Miss Carol. I like your story. It's a good story. Anybody else? Sure. You Bucky loving fan in the front.
Hi, I'm Justice. Yeah, hi. And my first time at Ford Point was was it 10 or 11 years ago? It's one of those. And we started in the basement of Under Sacred Melody. And it was at night, and we went down this really scary hill, and I called it Halloween Street. And I just remember just showing up one day at a basement, and then some random teenager who looked kind of like me invited me to dance in the back with a bunch of ribbons, and that was Kiwi, and hanging out. I'm the oldest of a lot of kids, and so just the teenagers at Ford Point always made sure that I had fun with them and all that stuff. And then one random Sunday we started having Kidman during the day. I was like, oh, this is different. And it was in the cafe. And I was like, oh, this is different, but cool. It was just some random Sunday. And then we stayed here, and we've been here for 10 years. And now that I know so much happened in this building, Ford Point gave us we don't have a lot of extended family, but I always probably half of you I can put on my emergency contact form and be this is my aunt. I put Katrina Skinner as my aunt all the time. Sonia I put as my emergency contact a lot, because they're my favorite people ever, and they've always been a part of my life. And I hang out with Sonia at least once a week. We go out to lunch, and we just yap and stuff, because I'm homeschooled and don't have much of a social life during the week. And so Sonia's my best friend, and then just the community and the amazing ness of all the people here. And Ford Point gave me my first opportunity to do announcements, and I was no. But Dad was no, you should do it. You should. It's really fun. You should do it. And I did it with Sonia. I've done it with E. I've done it. Who I call my TV dad, by the way, because we did a skit one time, and then and with so many different people, and that was the first time I felt someone believed in me, you know. And then Ford Point gave me my first job. I worked at Love Handles. And because of that, I'm able to do so much. And it's just, I'm so thankful for all the opportunities and the people and all my aunts and uncles that are right here. So yeah, thank you.
I'm surprised she didn't take the opportunity to say that they're also selling Krispy Kreme donuts, and all of her aunts and uncles should buy some. Anyone else as the team comes forward, comes back up and gets started? It's hard because today we don't want it to come on up how, we don't want it. It kind of sounds at some point like Forward Point's closing up shop, but again, it was just the building, and grateful for the time here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kyle. I never thought I'd be on stage talking, but I just want to say that I'd like to thank the Doyles, Pastor Jimmy, Steve, Katrina, the Skinner family for everything that they've done. I got here, my wife had heard that Pastor Bob Doobie was his name. I was preaching years ago, and I went to the same church as he did back then. And then he came to Ford Point, and my wife had heard that he was preaching here, so I came here. I walked through those glass doors. I never felt so loved in my life. I got so many hugs my first time in here, and handshakes and stuff like that, that from Jimmy and Lee and E and everybody and stuff like that. And I just got here, and it just felt more like a family. My first week here, second week here, I asked for prayer. Matt and Joe gave me prayer, and it just felt like a family here. And I went through a lot in my life with drugs and alcohol too, and jail and stuff like that. But and then life group with Joe and Carol. And I just want to say thank you to everybody, and thank you. That's all I want to say.
Thanks so much, Kyle. So as we just continue on and close out with some music here, I'd encourage you during the songs. Terry, did you want to say something? Oh, yes. You were closer than you were the last time I saw you. Oh, just
What I want to say about Forward Point is that this is a place of deep calling and deep friendships. I'm the type of person that I could go and talk to anybody anywhere, but I'm not always the type of person that is good at forming deep bonds quickly, so it takes me a long time. But we have very deep friendships here, and the things that Forward Point does for the community, what I love about it is there's no strings attached. It's all about love. You do things out of love and without any desire to necessarily get anything back, but it comes back anyway because God blesses us in the giving and he blesses the community in the receiving, and then lives are changed.
Well, I'm not somebody who likes to be in front of the camera. I'm somebody who's behind the camera. But like Ben said yesterday during his wedding speech, but this has just been such a great space. When Terry and I started coming here, right, we knew the Doyles, we knew the Skinners. It was Tom Brady that invited us to come, although we had plans on stopping by anyway. But since we've been here, it's been a stretch. We've been doing a lot for the theater, which has been amazing. They've done a lot for us. So we got all the lighting, all of the sound. It's been an amazing journey for Terry and I. The kids, Benjamin, he does the live stream every week for us. That's been great. So we just want to thank all of you, and we want to thank the Palace and Stephen for opening up the doors and lending it all to us every Sunday. But you guys are amazing, and you guys are like family to us, so we thank you all.
So as we're closing out, as we're singing, I would encourage you to think whatever stories come to mind, whatever, hold on there, Matthew. Whatever, there we go. You almost got that right to the forehead there, Matthew. That would have been Goliath going down. As we're singing, these stones are up here. Take a handful. Again, each one may be representing a story, something that you remember. When you get home, you can take a permanent marker and just maybe put a symbol on there for what that particular stone reminds you of, and build your own little altar that you can tell your children about, that the world around you will see. And we're just going to say, God, thank you so much for the time that we've had here at the Palace. We pray for just a special blessing on this building, that as you have allowed us to find shelter within its walls and to be able to open up our hearts to the community through this building, God, that it would continue to just be a light here in Eastwood and in Syracuse and used for your glory. And we just pray for Forward Point, that as you transition us into this new space, that you just again would broaden our sphere of influence, that you would put us all on purpose for not just showing up, but participating and being a part of life change in other people's lives. So we're just grateful for the stories represented in these stones. Would you help us to continue to build our altar? Would you continue to build your church on this rock? And we love you and grateful for everything you've done in our lives.
All right, guys, ready for the last couple songs in this facility? I'll tell you, it was great hearing the stories that I was there for most of these stories over the past decade. And it's amazing how everyone has a different experience. 10 years ago, this month, we came to this facility. And the Bible talks about how God has a plan and a purpose for your life. And when you say yes to God, you don't know what he's going to do in your life. You don't know what he's going to unravel to get you to where he wants you to be. And you're going to think you are so far from where you should be, but you were always where you needed to be. And yet, even though everyone has a different experience, heard a wide array of stories, I think Adam, even though all the hats he wears, I think he needs to maybe stop being a sound tech and go into stand-up comedy, because I've never heard an impersonation of David Kane that was that good. If anyone knows Dave Kane, I hope he watches today. I'm like, Dave, I actually got to hear you better than you hear yourself. It was that good. And I was thinking about even Tina's stories, and Tina has been going to Forward Point longer than myself. And Tina's an amazing person, and I'll tell you, again, as you can tell, she's in a wheelchair, and yet she literally, I don't know how many years you came to Life Group, but you came to Life Group, rain, snow, or shine, I don't care, she came. And you gotta think, my house, I was in a bungalow. It was quite difficult to get her in, and I'm being honest about that, and she knows I can share this because it would take a knack to get her in. But I took pride in getting her into my house every single week. But the one time I could not be there, or I got there late, I think, or something like that happened. And I asked Chris Cameron, I said, Chris, help me out. I thought when you got saved, you don't cuss. But when he lost her going down the stairs, I heard a lot of crazy things come out. I think about Tina praying for the Chippendales. What she didn't realize is that spirit of the Chippendales went into the pastor. No, I'm joking. I'm just joking. But you guys are amazing. And I want to end with this before we sing a couple songs. That you sit here right now. The most common thing that you heard from every single one of you that I got to hear, no one mentioned about the deep theology or the training of what Jimmy gives us on a Sunday. No one mentioned about how the cool haze and the smoke we have for church, or how great the music is. If we have a church split, I'm telling people we're having a church split because we're not bringing the popcorn machine over with us. But the one thing that you heard was the unconditional love. Not even of Jesus, because God has always been there. It's the unconditional love that they felt from each one of you. And I'll tell you right now, if you would open your Bible sometime to 1 Corinthians 13, Paul writes there, you can speak in the tongues of men of angels. You can have all knowledge. You can understand the mysteries of the world. And he goes on and on. But he says, if you do not have love, it means nothing. So I don't care what we do, church, in the future, what you learn, how hard you pray, how well you worship. If you don't have the Spirit of God inside you that says, I'm going to see someone else the way the Heavenly Father sees them, this will be our common thread, and this is how the world will know that we are His disciples, by the way we love one another.
You unravel me with a melody. You surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemies, till all my fears are gone. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. my mother's womb. You have chosen me. Love has called my name. I've been born again into your family. Your blood flows through my veins. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God.
You split.
You split the sea so I could walk right through it. My fears were drowned in perfect love. You rescued me so I could stand and sing. I am a child of God.
You split.
You split the sea so I could walk right through it. My fears were drowned in perfect love. You rescued me so I could stand and sing. I am a child of God. I am a child of God. I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God.
As always, there's prayer in the back, guys. So don't leave here today. All right. It's a glorious day.
I was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was my tomb till I met you. I was breathing, but not alive. All my failures I tried to hide. It was my turn till I met you. Let me hear you when you call my name, and I ran out of that grave. And the darkness into your glorious day. You call my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. Now your mercy has saved my soul. your freedom is all that I know. We only knew Jesus when I met you. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. I needed rescue, my sin was heavy, but chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter, wasn't open. Now you called me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future, my eyes are open, 'cause when you call my name, I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You call my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glory. Sing it again. You call my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You call my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. We love you guys. Just shout a praise, all right. Thank you, Forward